Christmas, Easter, and now, finally, Halloween. The events have come full circle, haven't they? What else could Quill possibly add, aside from f***ing treadmills? We are finally getting a Halloween update, and I could not be more excited. But at the same time, it does make me wonder what will come next. We now have 3 of the biggest holidays that most games already do events for, so what now? Well, guys, gals, non-binary pals, pick up your drawing tablets because I present to you Valentine's Day. Ask any single person you know and they will tell you it's the biggest holiday ever. So, over the course of, I'm assuming 9 days, I made an entire cast of Toons, their twisted forms, trinkets, abilities, relationships, and more, all for the satisfaction of saying, I love Dandy's World. Now, I'm sure this isn't the first time someone has done this, and I don't think it'll be the last either. But if you're an artist, then you can probably agree with me that sometimes when the urge to draw something grabs a hold of you and strangles you, you just gotta roll with it. So, my cartoon friends, let's get into it. This might be a long one. Now, for our lovely new Toons, I'll be going in order of common, rare, and eventually our main. That being said, for our first Toon, we have a love letter. I know, so on the nose, but you'll love her, I promise. Something about Valentine's Day always seems to inspire penmanship. Cute notes, romantic poems, and even letters from your secret admirer. Hence where our lovely lass here comes in. I did a few sketches to flesh out the shapes and pose I wanted her in. You'll see me do this with the others as well. It's a good way to get a general idea of what you want if you're making a new character. Afterwards, I just enlarged the size and began to include my art. I did a lot of planning beforehand, so I more or less had an idea of what I already wanted her and the others to look like. But for her specifically, I got my inspiration from a childhood game of mine called Tearaway Unfolded. That title probably sparked flashbacks for some people. Now, it has been a very long time since I've played the game, but as a short summary based only on my memory, you play as this envelope character meant to deliver yourself and go through the storybook world meeting other characters and defeating these nasty little villains called Scraps. I mean these Scraps, not this Scraps. But anyway, they were the main inspo. If you couldn't tell already, she is an incredibly bubbly Toon, full of energy and, of course, love. Now, through her design, the main things I knew I wanted her to for sure have were a messenger bag, bows, and to have a pleated skirt. Because let's be honest, skirts are just cute, and I like skirts. Although it wasn't unintentional, I feel like she does emanate schoolgirl vibes, which I don't really mind. It kind of suits her character anyway. Another consistent thing that you'll see through all of them is that they all have red or some version of red in their color palette. Started off with pretty muted colors because it makes it easier for me to make things pop when I want them to. But I did eventually end up changing the saturation a bit to make her brighter and feel more at home in the Dandy's World universe. Compared to all of my other Toonses, these guys are definitely the most fleshed out. I wanted to add as much detail to their character as possible, and by that I mean really getting their abilities, twisted forms, and trinkets down. Speaking of, let's get down to her abilities. As much as I love Bassi, I do wish there were other Toons that had something a little similar to her ability, but obviously a bit more balanced, so here you go. Our love letter here is able to send items directly to other Toons at the cost of 10 tapes, and it has a cooldown of 80 seconds. I wanted to balance it out with a decently long cooldown and tape cost. She also doesn't have 4 item slots like Bassi does. For her stats, she has a 4-star skill check, she's a writer after all, 4-star movement speed since she is a delivery woman, 2-star stamina, 3-star self, and 2-star extraction speed. There are way too many S's in that sentence for my lisp to keep up with, and I am not re-recording it. As for her trinket, I've noticed that with each event there's always a Toon with a trinket that focuses around highlighting the event currency, and that is what her heart pen does. If you're curious as to what the currency is,
that's Judy and Bob.
You'll find out later when I show you mock-ups of the map. Did I say map? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Either way, I present to you Loretta Sealwell. We can finally go over her twisted form, which I will be honest, for most of them I just copied and pasted the liner because it was pretty minor changes and I did not feel like redoing a whole pose because, well, I'm lazy and did not feel like it was needed. As per most commons, Loretta's twisted form doesn't do anything special. She's a little faster than some commons, but that's about it. I debated making her a thief like Gigi, but that's more of a rare thing than a common thing. So there really wasn't too much different about her. A quote from the bio of her twisted form page reads, "Her insatiable need to always do better, to always be better, has led her to this horrible crazed state. She will stop at nothing to accomplish her goals." This twisted doesn't seem to have any notable abilities, but don't underestimate her. Anyway, I will now go through some extra tidbits about her. She likes music, specifically 90s disco music, post-it notes, collecting fountain pens, she has an entire collection, and roller skating. I won't be revealing the main yet, obviously, but Loretta looks up to them as a parental figure and always strives to impress them, often getting herself into trouble because of it. Because of how determined she is to always prove her worth, she is pretty impulsive. But that doesn't mean we love her any less. And that, my friends, is our first tune all done. We are now on to our second character, and they are a teddy bear! Now, as their creator, I refuse to pick favorites, not that that has ever stopped me before, but this guy just came out so dang cute, and I love him. I actually had the most trouble deciding what I wanted our uncommon to be. I went from a ring box to a box of chocolates, but didn't like the designs and felt they resembled boxed in a bit too much. That's when I realized, oh hey, what's another common gift around Valentine's Day? Teddy bears. I feel like every time you walk into a store around Valentine's, there are just so many heart bears or rose bears, and I don't blame people for liking them. I'd be pretty ecstatic if I got one as well. I did scrounge around on the internet a bit, looking at different bear designs over and over and over again, for a more general idea of what I wanted him to look like. I went through a couple different color options and poses for him, but I decided to go with just a classic teddy bear look. Fluffy, pudgy, and oh so cuddly in a nice shade of brown. I did want him to at least be distinguishable, so I added 2 extra items to his design. That being his bow tie and a heart on his belly, which kinda reminds me of a Care Bear. Speaking of, at the time of recording this, Dandy's World just released their Care Bear collab. Our teddy bear here would fit right in. Because of how simple his design was, he took just under an hour for me to finish, but excluding breaks, it was probably more like 40 minutes. I find his design is simple but effective. You know what he is just by looking at him, and you also gauge his personality that way too. He's a pretty relaxed guy and views the other Valentine's Day tunes as family despite finding the main a bit intimidating at times. Him and Loretta are basically best friends despite the fact that their outings almost always involve Loretta getting into trouble. He doesn't really have the backbone to say no to most things, but when it comes to his friends, he is a completely different bear. He will always admit to being scared or frightful of what's to come, but even so, he will always opt to be a shield for his friends in need. Now, once again, we are on to his abilities. As a general theme, I wanted most of the tunes to play a more supporting role, and with that being said, our lovely teddy bear here is able to carry other tunes on his back for 20 seconds. Now, I didn't state it in his ability box, but the person being carried can opt to get off at any time. Upon carrying someone, any damage taken only affects him and not the person that is being carried. When carrying another tune, his extraction speed increases and movement speed decreases. His ability has a cooldown of 60 seconds, and the cooldown does not start until he no longer has someone on his back. As an even shorter summary, he can carry people. I know, as if you weren't already getting carried enough. His ability could be useful for saving someone that's on one heart and taking damage for them, or just using his ability with someone else to increase extraction speed. It did take me a while to really figure out how his ability would work, or what role he would play, but I'm very happy with what I ended up with. As for his stats, he has 3-star skill checks, 2-star movement speed, 3-star stamina, 2-star stealth, and 4-star extraction speed. He has a pin cushion as his trinket, or as I call it, a bear cushion. It increases movement speed by 15% for 10 seconds while actively being chased, but adds the tired effect afterwards, and it takes 30 seconds to reactivate. Now I know trinkets don't normally have cooldowns, but I thought this would help to balance it out a bit. It's useful for those that don't have a lot of speed and need to just get out quick, but obviously it has a penalty with adding the tired effect afterwards. He was taught how to sew so he could keep himself together, literally and figuratively. I mean, he wouldn't be a stuffed animal if he didn't get a rip or tear in his seams at some point. Hence the pincushion he got as a gift from our next tune, but we aren't there just yet, so hold your horses. With all of that out of the way, I present to you Bernard Pawsey. Similar to Loretta, his twisted variant doesn't do anything too special. He has a longer attention span than most, but that's about it. His twisted bio reads, his friends are gone now. He has no one left to protect. His once calm nature now turned into grief and despair. His stuffed animal body now having fallen to disrepair. He is persistent and unforgiving at times. Do not let your guard down. Ooh, I got chills. Did you get chills? I got chills. We're back at the part where I go over Toon tidbits. Yes, that's what I'm calling it now. Bernard here loves hugs, naps, quilting or sewing, and honey. I mean, he is a bear after all. And that, my friends, is Bernard. All done. Alright, we're getting to the really juicy stuff and are on to the last tune before the main, which makes this tune here our rare, and they are a wax candle. I think out of all the tunes I had the least amount of difficulty with him. There were minor issues when it came to his pose, but I got over it pretty quickly and found something I liked. I didn't have any issues with choosing colors or his general design. Even his ability was pretty easy for me to come to a conclusion on. I can't remember what originally gave me the idea for him though. Actually, I lied. It was these two. He's like if Alfred Pennyworth and Lumiere were fused together into one candle-shaped character. He's witty and humorous when he wants to be, but keeps on a serious and professional persona at all times. Much like Alfred, he is also the right-hand man of someone rather important, aka our main. I know you're getting tired of me saying main this and main that, but we're getting there. I absolutely adore this guy's character. While I know we have Egson, Roger, and maybe Dial as our kind of old gentleman characters, I don't think there's any harm in adding one more. In fact, I kind of imagine him and Roger being friends, even with Roger's persistent nature, which our candle finds bothersome at times. He also considers Bernard a good companion of his. Bernard might not talk much or is overly shy at times, but our candleman doesn't mind all that much. He was actually the one that taught Bernard how to sew in order to fix his rips and tears. I am getting ahead of myself though. We still need to go over this guy's abilities. This tune can place down a candle that emits a large circle of light. If a tune stands in the circle, their stamina regeneration increases drastically, but their stealth decreases, and it has a cooldown of 60 seconds. He's also the first tune on our list to have a passive. That being said, the lower his health, the faster his extraction speed. I basically took Louis' passive and changed it to extraction speed, but I still think it's a pretty good passive for him. As for his stats, he has a 5-star skills check, 2-star movement speed, 4-star stamina, 1-star stealth, and 3-star extraction speed. Would it be amazing to have a 5-star skill check and 5-star extraction speed? Absolutely, but realistically, you wouldn't normally want to risk sitting at 1 or 2 hearts as a tune with 2-star movement and 1-star stealth. Or at the very least, that's the conclusion I came to. For his trinket, it is a candelabra that increases a tune's stamina regeneration as well as their glow during blackouts. I forgot to write this in his box, but the stamina regeneration increases 20%. I guess you could say it's a better version of the thermos, but I'm ignoring that. With that, I present to you Waxford Brightmore. On to his twisted form. But first, a side note, if it feels like I'm going through his section quickly, it's because I generally don't have too many comments for him unless it relates to him and our main, and I don't want to spoil you guys. Anyway, bio of this twisted reads, be extremely cautious around this twisted. His bright candlelight might give him away, but even with this twisted's short field of view, don't give him the chance to catch you off guard. His ability to slow tunes with a ranged ball of flame is a death sentence if you find yourself in a tight pinch. Now, I'm sure you know what time it is. Toon tidbits. Don't lie to me, I know you love it. Waxford here loves books, poems, board games, chess, and wax carving. I will add that Waxford here is the one you'll often find scolding Loretta for her shenanigans, but even he knows everything he says goes in one ear and out the other. With Waxford done, that crosses our third Toon off the list. I feel so bad that his section was so short, but I didn't want to drag on this video for too long. Also, a ticket side note, if you've made it this far and enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like or leave a comment. Finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, the main event. Get it? Sorry, not sorry. I present to you our main, a lovely glass vase full of luscious roses. Look, I originally wanted her to be a bouquet, but I cannot tell you how much I struggled to figure out how I wanted her to look. My original vision imagined her with long hair flowing down the one side of her face, the ruffles of the bouquet as like an exaggerated coat collar, but it just did not look right. So I tried a new angle and scrapped the original idea I had for her while looking for a new inspiration that could get my mush pile of a brain to start working again. That's when I found it. Jessica Rabbit and Poison Ivy. Yes, I know, not the first time I've mentioned a character from the DC Comics. I'm not a comic nerd, I just kind of stumbled on these two as my inspiration for her. Now, I'm going to say this here and now, I am cutting down this footage as much as possible because including her twisted form, she took me like 2 or 3 hours, which is sad, but in my defense, I drew each and every single rose, small flower, and leaf on her head. I was up until 3 a.m. doing it, so in my personal opinion, that just means I'm committed. Enough complaining though, let's get into her personality. I'm sure you can tell already, but she exudes confidence. Despite looking like she might be the sassiest gal in the room, she's actually quite understanding and sweet. Always assume that she's pretentious or stuck up, but she's quite the opposite. I mean, she is the main Toon of Valentine's Day after all. Waxford often describes her as having a heart of gold. As I mentioned earlier, Waxford is her right-hand man, and realistically there isn't all that much he needs to do, but he does keep her company and offer advice. Loretta is like a daughter to her, and she loves her dearly. She does like Bernard as well and sometimes worries for him, but Bernard is a bit too intimidated by her to really offer much conversation. Okay, I've yapped enough nonsense, let's get on to her abilities. This Toon leaves a trail of thorny leaves behind her for 10 seconds that slows Twisteds. It's a cooldown of 80 seconds. As for her passive, when in the vicinity of this Toon, other Toons have their speed and skill check size increased slightly. Her abilities aren't nearly as much of a mouthful as Bernard's or Waxford's. As for her stats, she has 2 hearts since she's a main. She has a 2-star skill check, 3-star movement speed, 1-star stamina, 4-star stealth, and 5-star extraction speed. Trinket is a perfume bottle and it increases the user's stealth by 50% while extracting from a machine. I can't lie, design-wise I think her trinket is my favorite, only of the trinkets because obviously I'm not picking favorites of the Toons. Because her stealth and extraction speed are so high, I did need to balance her out with low stamina and a not-so-great skill check. I still think her stats are really good though, not to mention you can make any character better with the right trinkets. Minus Shrimpo. Also, another small side note, for some reason the rest of the footage for her normal form just is gone. No idea why. To be fair, you're not missing much, so without further ado, I present to you Rosalene Basili. On to her twisted form. I cannot express to you how much fun I had making her twisted form. I went through a couple different ideas, not so much because I didn't like them or was having a hard time deciding, but more so because I love making monsters and cryptids. I did eventually settle with the sketch I liked the most after making some minor changes. Okay, I will stop yapping and focus on what she does as a main twisted. This twisted doesn't need to be fast to catch her target. With a long-range attack that spikes up out of the ground in a straight line that lingers, blocking off possible exits or escape routes, if caught in the wrong spot, this could easily spell your end. Avoid tight spaces or dead ends as much as possible. As more explanation, when she spots someone, she shoots spikes out of the ground. They only move in a straight line and do stop at some point, so it's not a continuous wall of spikes. If it hits you or you walk into it, you take damage. I promise it is easy to avoid as long as you aren't in an enclosed space, corridor, or hallway. Once again, we are back with Toon tidbits. Rosalene loves tea time, gardening, dancing, perfume, and fashion. You've seen her dress, of course she loves fashion. She might be a queen, but this queen isn't afraid to get her hands dirty considering her hair is a giant bundle of roses. It makes sense she would enjoy gardening at least a little bit, since it's basically her version of hairstyling. They did mention tea time, and with that I feel like she and Tegan would get along great. Fashionable besties. And that, my friends, is Rosalene, our main, all finished. Oh my god, it's finally over. Well, almost. But each tune is done. I couldn't be happier with how they all turned out. It took more time to edit all of this than it did to draw everything, and we aren't even done yet. But if you didn't click off or skip ahead, you heard me mention something of a map, and I will not fail to deliver. I just want to make it very apparent that I am not a background artist by any means, nor am I a 3D artist, so I did draw a top-down mock-up and then recreated the entire thing in The Sims 4. I don't have a speed paint, or I guess in this case, speed build? Considering this video is long enough as is, so I will simply do a Google Slides style presentation of them. Bear with me. Just do your best to imagine all of this being indoors, similar to Sprout's map or any map that has greenery. I did make some slight changes from the original mock-up, but I have it displayed where we are on the map from where the photo is being taken. What's more romantic than a garden, stone statues, rose bushes, and small private quarters? I would like to add more heart decor, but I didn't find too much that suited what I was going for. I did go pretty heavy on the flowers and foliage though. I wanted the plants to feel like they were taking up as much space as possible and had also overgrown quite a bit. You'll also notice nooks and crannies that Toons can hide behind. I won't yap over this too much, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. And that's it. This project took me weeks to finish, even though realistically I probably would have had this done a bit sooner with proper planning and better editing know-how. I like to think I'm slowly improving though. My editing has gone a lot better than my last video at least. If you stayed until the end, know that I really appreciate it. I just wanted to show my love for a game I've come to adore more than I could have ever imagined. But finally, this is Ticket, logging off.